Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. Oh, welcome back, everybody. Today is a great day to invest in you. Really care about you, really move your life forward, overcome those obstacles, really shine. And one of the best ways to do that is not alone. Your journey to self-discovery happens with somebody walking that journey with you, specifically a life coach. Found a great one for you, and we're going to learn how the whole process works and why she chose to help people like you move their life forward. It's yourtimetoshine.ca is her website, yourtimetoshine.ca. Michelle Sulz joins us here on the program. Hey, Michelle, how you doing?
Hi, Steve. I'm going to be honest because most people aren't honest when they're asked that question, and I'm going to say I'm a little tired and a little sad. We received some bad news last night that kept me up a little bit, but I'm also today feeling really grateful. Sad news sometimes makes us reflect on our own lives and sort of what's in our control. So I'm feeling grateful for all that I have.
I appreciate you sharing that and your transparency, and also my thoughts and prayers are with your family at this time, no matter what you guys are dealing with. And I like what you said. Life is not always going to be sunshine, butterflies, roses, lollipops. It's going to be challenging, but it's my belief, and I really want your input on this, how fast you bounce back from something makes all the difference in the world. And when you have the right mindset, I feel that you can do that. And we're not forgetting about anything, but being forward in terms of your life. Does that make sense?
It absolutely does. And yeah, you've brought up some really important points that I really agree with. We don't want to shove anything under the rug. We want to process our feelings, but we do build resiliency through that process of working through hard things and figuring out how to move forward and learning from the past and using that as a rear view mirror, which is smaller than the windshield for a reason, to figure out how to move forward stronger, better, and with intent. So I would agree, Steve. Yeah.
So I want to ask you, based on that, and we're digging right in here. We're not wasting any.
That's okay. That's good. Yeah.
That's good. Is right. Do you find that once you have to deal with something significant and you got past it, you moved on, you recognized it, maybe learned from it, that every time something comes up, it gets a little bit easier. It doesn't hit you in the face as hard. Do you find that?
Yes, and I think a lot of people would call that grit or resiliency. And I think, like lots of things, those are learned, and they're all about your perspective. You can look at your situation and the bad things that happen from a point of view of a victim, or you can look at it from a point of view of what you've learned from it, how you've become stronger, what you'll do differently next time, and really that perspective is a huge part of how we show up and how well we can deal with the inevitable difficult things that are going to happen in life. So yes, 100%. Sounds like you're a very wise man, Steve. Perhaps some lived experience coming through there. That's
where. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
And that's it. And I pilot, and this is only in the last few years. I'll be honest with you. It shows you that you have resilience when those things happen, bigger things in life. And you may not have realized that you had it. Like you might realize that, wow, I'm actually stronger than I thought I was. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, the confidence and the ability to move forward with that confidence that you get from those experiences is something. So, instead of looking at them as poor me or why did this happen to me or, how do I avoid those things going forward, which we never want to intentionally put ourselves in difficult situations, but they happen. You can look at it from a point of view as I can manage this, I can deal with this, And it also makes, I think this is an important point, the highlights, the good things shine brighter, because you know the lows, but to know the highs, you also have to know the lows. There's extremes in life, and we can't avoid that.
Well, isn't it interesting that you don't know the high points? Let's put it this way. If life was just flatline, like there's just everything's the same, you wouldn't know the difference between something good and something not so good, because everything would be the same. So when you have those challenges in life, it makes you look at the other things that are wonderful, and they're even more wonderful, and to be grateful. Why don't we talk about gratitude?
Yeah, a very important piece of life and happiness, I think, is recognizing how important gratitude and expressing gratitude and taking time to reflect on what you're grateful for is. Sometimes we focus on the negatives because the negatives are the things we have to figure out how to get through. But we really just gloss over or fail to reflect on what we should be grateful for. And it's not just the big things that we are best served, us in terms of realizing that we should be grateful. It's the little things. And every moment has an opportunity for gratefulness, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I agree. And even when those moments, are not the best moments, you can still look at them through the eyes. And hear me out. This is not the rose-colored glasses situation where you just put the blinders on. Everything's great. Everything's great. No, really. No, this is being honest, where you look at things in a different way, where you are grateful for them. Michelle, how do you practice gratitude?
Yeah, lots of ways. It's something that I have re-embraced. I know it's important, but re-embraced for the last few years, and I'm finding it's making a really big difference in my own life. But I journal, so I do try to take a few minutes every day, or at least every couple days, to reflect on what I'm grateful for. But I also just do it as it's become part of sort of, how I view life is I try throughout the day as things are happening to also reflect on what I'm grateful for, especially in the low points, in the low times. I think that's when it's most important.
Tell me about your journey. You helping people walk their journey to just find who they are and move their life forward. How did that begin for you?
Yeah, so it's been a little bit of a winding journey, and I think a winding journey is more common than not in most people's lives, and I've appreciated all the twists and turns that mine has taken. So I'm grateful for all those different experiences that have led me to where I am. But if you forced me to put a label, and you didn't force me, but I'm going to force myself on where I am. I'm semi-retired at this point, so becoming a life coach was a sort of a post-working full-time choice for me, and it was actually one of the catalysts that led to my retirement from a corporate job. Is I had a really rough patch at work about 5 years ago, and it shook me. It really shattered my confidence. It made me ask a lot of those questions about what's important to me and where do I want to go. And it was suggested to me by a coworker to work with an executive coach. I was in a job where I was in a leadership role, and a life coach can also be called an executive coach when you're working with them under those circumstances. And working with a coach made all the difference. It was, for me, like taking all the best courses and soft skills and putting it all together in a way that really resonated with me and allowed me to get past the struggles that I was having, to build confidence again, but more importantly, to really go back to my values, what was important to me, and figure out how I wanted to move forward more confidently, more intentionally. I took on some really big projects at work where I'd struggled before. I was able to succeed, and I did that to sort of a point of completion where I felt I had confidence, and I had provided something meaningful to the company I was working for. And then I retired. And I retired because I recognized that instead of working in the role I was in, I really wanted to share the benefits of working with a coach with others. So I took a certification program and through Rhodes Wellness College, and I'm now a practicing life coach. And I only do it part-time because I have a lot of other things I'm interested in. But it is sort of like one of those best-kept secrets that I just don't want to be a secret. I want it to be something that people can benefit from. So that's one of my goals, and provides a lot of meaning for me. So.
I always say partner and walk the journey with somebody. And it was right on your website. The definition of coaching is partnering in a thought-provoking and creative process that inspires a person to maximize their personal and professional potential. Says it all right there. You can't you can't do it alone. That's my belief.
No, you can't. And I'm a very independent person.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of my weaknesses, I would actually say. My autonomy, my independence, my agency is extremely important to me. So at first I was looking at working with a coach as, well, I needed help. And the answer is I do need help. But it's not because I have to. It's because it makes it so much faster, better, easier. Why would you try to do something alone that can just be so much more successful with a partner, as you've placed it, in terms of what a coach really is?
Everything is better when you work with somebody else. I really believe that. Call me a team player, but it gets boring.
And that's good. Steve, you know what? You should be proud of the fact that that's a strength of yours, because, again, that's not one of mine, but I'm learning through time and experience that, it's always best to work with that.
I don't have to score the touchdown. It's okay.
That's very true.
Yeah. You're very unique in that you live on a farm. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so farming is another one of, I guess, my passions. I grew up a farm kid in Saskatchewan, Canada, middle of nowhere, and moved to Alberta, Canada, with my husband, and have worked here for a large number of years at this point. And it was my dream since university. I actually have a degree in agriculture from the University of Saskatchewan, to raise Highland cattle. And so when we moved up to where we currently are and bought a little bit of land a few years later, that was what we did. I've always been fortunate to have a husband that is a great partner to me. And so when I shared that was my interest, he got on board. So we raise registered Highland cattle, and we have cattle, all over Canada now that we've bred and raised, and it's been a lot of fun. It's kind of a dream come true. So another piece of my life. Yeah.
Was that a dream of yours, your husband's, or both of yours?
I think it was a dream of mine, but my husband is he loves new adventures and new things. And it didn't take a lot to once I shared that vision with him, for him to fully be on board. He's an engineer, so you got an agriculture or an agrologist and an engineer, and he loves to try new things, solve new problems. So for him, farming is something where the more you can do yourself, it's a learning opportunity, and so we've both had our strengths and made it work, and it's been great. Yeah.
Do I have this right that it's like a 25-mile drive if you want to get groceries or even the mail?
Yeah, absolutely. So I only live about 15 miles from where I used to work. But it's at least 25 miles to the nearest store or gas station or the mail. No courier service to our door out here. So I live very remotely, and it's actually very nice. I'm an introverted person, so the solitude kind of fills me up. But I also had to figure out how to make that work for coaching. So, with a lot of things now being online, it really is easy to connect with people worldwide, time zones aside, and, more convenient. And what it means for me and for clients is that they don't have to choose a coach that's just out their back door. They can choose the coach that's the right fit for them as long as they're okay with that online. And I find that online is really effective for deep listening and focusing because you sort of get in the zone and you're working with that person, and sometimes it's actually easier than in person to really connect. So yeah, I live a long way from anywhere, but I don't let it stop me from connections and meaningful conversations with folks, even from minus 45 degrees Celsius in the middle of winter. So, yeah.
Love it. It's fantastic. And things come to me in music. I've been playing music on the radio since I was a kid professionally. A lot of years. And a song just popped in my head. It's from the very early 1970s by a group called Three Dog Night. They had a bunch of hits in the 70s. This was not one of their big hits. However, it's, and I'm digressing here, but it's to your point.
No.
But I think all can take something away from it. They have a song called Out in the Country. It doesn't even sound like it's as old as it is. It's sort of like a folksy kind of song. And basically, it's whenever I need to leave it all behind or feel the need to get away, I find a quiet place far from the human race out in the country. And the lyrics go on about catching your breath and taking things back that's worth remembering. So I just throw that out there since you live out in the country. And for anybody that just needs a different perspective on life out in the country, Three Dog Night, that's your music tip for the day. We move on. How does the process work? You work with somebody, Michelle, on the life coaching level. Take me through that from the beginning to, maybe a little significantly into the process.
Sure. So every life coach and how they approach things is a little bit different. There are general themes and trends and recommendations. But for me, I only do one-on-one coaching. So all of my life coaching is, of me as the coach with a client one-on-one. Mm-hmm. And I think the most important thing about choosing a coach is to pick the right coach for you. So spend your time, and I'm not trying to advocate that that's me. That could very well be someone else. But you've mentioned how important it is to partner with someone, and I totally agree. A coach can make all of the difference in working through things and figuring out how you want to move forward. But picking the right coach is incredibly important. So one of the first steps is a free consultation, just a discussion with the coach and the client so that they can get to know each other a little bit, understand objectives that the client is trying to reach. I usually share in that interview my coaching philosophy, which is very much client-centric. So there's no script in terms of exactly how we are going to go about things. It's very structured, but also a lot of flexibility. And if the client and I both agree that it seems like we are a good fit for one another, that there's going to be some good outcomes that we think we can achieve together, we would enter into a coaching agreement. And that could be probably as little as about 3 one-hour sessions, and it could obviously go on for however long it best serves the client. Usually an hour at a time, say every week to every 2 weeks or even once a month, depending on where the client is in sort of their journey. And I do have formal agreements that we sign. We do have structured sessions, but there is also a lot of flexibility. Homework is optional, but it's always recommended that, clients, if they're willing and interested, go away and do some reflection or some work on their own. That helps the sessions. And I guess coaching isn't therapy. Maybe let me go, if you'll let me go that direction, Steve, of sort of the difference between coaching and counseling and therapy.
Oh, please do, because I think there's sometimes people get confused about that.
Yeah, and it's easy to get confused. Where most people understand counseling and therapy, coaching isn't quite as well known to a lot of individuals. And I find one of the best ways to describe it that resonates with me and seems to resonate with my clients is that therapy and counseling is largely on the past, And, sometimes it's trauma, a lot of times it is, but the past in particular and maybe the present, where coaching is mostly focused on the present and the future. And so you may reflect on the past in order to learn from it, in reflection, but you're really not trying to, resolve past traumas. You're mostly looking to how you want to move forward. And I think that's a big difference.
Truly is. And a lot of times, and there's nothing wrong with working with a therapist, but a lot of times.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, it does come up. Like that stuff from your past comes up, and can often come up many times as you work through things, and that's part of that process. But yeah, I love that, living in the present and looking at the future. And by the way, now that you said it, let's hit that up real quick. Living in the present. How important is that?
It's incredibly important. It is one of the most important things. That really the present, the here and now is the only thing that you can do something about right now, right? It's happening now, and when that moment passes, it's in the past. And once something's in the past, you can't change it. Anxiety and concern, and sort of spinning our wheels can come from too much focus on the future. There's a balance to be struck there. But focusing on the moment you're in, your present, and just gleaning the most enjoyment and the most, knowledge and the most wisdom out of what's happening right now. And, trying to focus on just one thing, right, is in today's world, multitasking, whether it's playing on our phone or, what we're supposed to be having a conversation, or trying to do 2 or 3 things at once in other ways, it doesn't really serve us because you're not being present when that's happening. So I think, just focusing on what's happening, the one thing that's happening, for you at that moment can really help with how much you get out of each day.
Isn't it amazing that when you take this moment right here, slice it this second right here, there's nothing wrong. Everything's great. You don't even have a chance to think about the past or the future. You're living in this moment right now, and it's a beautiful thing. And it took me a long time to realize that. I met somebody 4 years ago, and they actually said, "How come you never live in the moment? You're always thinking about the past and the future." I didn't even know what they were talking about. It took me quite some time to figure it out, and when I did, it was like, oh, all right, this is all good now. But you know what? I should have engaged a coach like you, because I would have realized that long ago. But that's all part of the journey, learning along the way. Michelle, how do we connect with you? How do we find you? Even if somebody has some questions about how you help people and coach them.
Yeah, so my website is probably the best way to connect with me. You mentioned the address at the beginning, but it's www.yourtimetosshine.ca. I'm located in Canada. The website has ways to contact me just directly through it, by email, as well as a telephone number. And I would really love to hear from people, and whether it's, interest in hiring me as a coach, or even just to share perhaps how this, short segments shifted their focus or inspired them to make some changes in their life. I'd love to hear from your listeners.
Love it. And even just a quick call consultation, somebody just wants to learn more, would that be free?
Absolutely free. Yeah. 30 minutes to an hour is generally what I would recommend to set aside for that. And it is absolutely free and honestly necessary. There's no way I would ever suggest anyone hire a coach that doesn't provide, that opportunity for the client to get to know them first.
Terrific. Wonderful talking with you, Michelle. I just want to let you know that you're in Alberta, right?
Alberta, you betcha. Yeah.
It is warmer there than it is here in New York.
I heard we were in the other side of the cold last week, our little polar vortex.
Oh, yeah?
We're on the other side of the jet stream right now, so I feel for you. I was right there last week and it's beautiful here the last couple of days. So I hope that weather comes your way soon.
Oh, well, thank you very much. It's you're going to be considerably warmer for the next couple of days, but so bask in that sunshine. Bask in that sunshine.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today and all the insight. It is time to shine. It's a brand new year. Make the call, go to the website, and meet Michelle and learn more. Thanks again for being here today.
Thank you, Steve, for having me. Have a great day.
You too. We'll be right back.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
Mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.